Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash, double honors, the elders and apostles, a great millstone, who are teaching this truth in sincerity. And shout out to your Akim out there on the four quarters of the earth proclaiming this truth. Brakah the Yahweh, Brakah the Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash, Brakatum. So, got a lot of false prophets out here, saying that, we don't know the names thereof, or that'll tell you that his name is still JC, even though that name JC has done nothing, in all the years that we've been calling upon JC. Nope, never delivered us, never done anything, because again, anyone who would tell you the name or speak of the name JC is not a true man of Yahweh Shai, is only a false prophet. Only a false prophet would give you the name JC, and we've been definitely exposing that, and they've gone as far as saying that Yahweh Shai is not his real name. Well, that's because they don't want to teach you the Hebrew, right? Yeah, sure, they tell you that you're an Israelite, but then they say it doesn't matter what you call him. If the name never mattered, then why was it so reiterated throughout the scriptures? So that's a falsehood that's lately that we've been exposing. But then you got a lot of other things that are building up, right? They're about to do a false flag nuclear event in Ukraine, because that Ukraine is deliberately targeting the nuclear power plants in both Russia and in Ukraine areas, deliberately to cause a nuclear meltdown, just to say that Russia did it, kind of like when they blew up the Nord Stream. However, a nuclear event such as, Chernobyl, well, that will harm all of Europe, right? That could cause all the nations to hate the whore and want to burn her with fire right there, because they were the victims of a nuclear fallout because of the unrelenting support of Ukraine, which NATO supports Ukraine in lieu of the whore Babylon the Great. You see how that could turn out, right? To where those countries are going to unite with Russia. You see, that would very much turn them to Russia's side, because they'll know that Ukraine had done that deliberately. Well, that's about to pick up. Because again, another channel I subscribe to has got some insider information on that. And a lot of the stuff that he gets, a lot of it comes in to fruition, right? So basically, new intelligence is talking about how Ukraine is going to go after the nuclear power plants, as if you didn't see them bombing it before, especially with these long-range bombers. And they just recently shot down an F-16. Now they're going to say Russia shot it down, but they shot it down with their own friendly fire, with the U.S. Patriot missile system, nonetheless. They shot down their own F-16. That's how incompetent they are. But make no mistake, they will cause us nuclear disaster.
Really, we have some Western intelligence coming out saying that Ukraine may use a dirty bomb, some sort of radioactive device, either in Russian territory or on Ukraine itself. Now, everything that we've seen so far says that it will probably be used, if one is used, on Ukraine itself. The Russians will be to blame. Maybe we'll even see some crossover of radiation to Poland or to Germany or somewhere else that has the NATO Articles of Protection, and this will finally give the green light to NATO, to America, to invade inside of Russia, take out Putin, and basically level that land. Now, Russia is huge. Nobody really understands what a war against Russia really means, or the fact that China said they will militarily defend Russia. So that means a war with Russia is a war with China. Now, I don't expect these two things to happen until the Chinese try to take back Taiwan. That's when you're going to see the longer war. But what if Ukraine does something off label here? What if they do something just off the cuff? They decide they're going to do it. Now's the time, because we're about to Trump being a president, or about to a new presidency here inside the USA. When that happens, Ukraine's money is about to dry up. And I don't think, no matter who gets in there, there will be a certain amount of funneling of money that would exist, even if it was Harris. But Ukraine's money will dry up. There will be some giving of Ukrainian territory to the Russians. They will become part of new Russia. Russia is still trying to bring back the Soviet Union, guys. Don't get me wrong. And I just mean that territorially, not necessarily.
I will turn hooks to thy jaws and bring thee back. All thine army, horses, and horsemen.
But they are trying to bring back the good old Soviet Union. We do see them wanting Alaska back. So if Ukraine is really going to do this, or even if Russia does, It's all hell breaking loose. These reports say that according to Russian state media and Western officials, we see new information coming out that Ukraine may be arming and planning to use some sort of weapon type of radiation. It has a potential to be targeted at certain sites across Russia or inside of Ukraine. They say we know that various reports and different media outlets are beginning to emerge showing this. We just have to watch and wait and see. That's kind of where we're at.
And, like everything else, so, if you hadn't caught yesterday's video, of course, they also may swear in Harris even before she's even, elected, meaning that Joe Biden will just totally, withdraw from the presidency as well. Because you already know he already withdrew from the presidential election. Then you see RFK Jr. Kiss the boot of Donald J. Trump, So, RFK Jr. may even promote Big Pharmacia. Because wasn't that the big thing he disagreed with Trump on was pharmacia? Because it just shows you how this game is played. It's a game of thrones, if you will. And like everything else, so all the chess pieces are in place, and so it begins. You're hearing of wars, rumors of wars. You're seeing famines, pestilences, earthquakes in diverse places. I mean, there's earthquakes everywhere. You hear about it all the time, So, we know we're in those times, right? And many false prophets rising and deceiving many. We've been exposing mainly IUIC, but there's others out there telling you that the MOTB is something else. That the MOTB is an embargo, or that it's plantation Christianity, or that the image of the beast is Cesare Borgia. Sure, that's an idol. Sure, that's not the image of the Son of the Most High, but that's not the image of the beast. The image of the beast, that should speak and cause as many would not worship, is talking about the government. The government, of course, is in their world power, the world dictatorial power. And like everything else, so there's a ceasefire in, the Gaza Strip right now because the World Health Organization wants to inject them once again, to inoculate them. Yeah, they're going to stop this bloody war so they can massacre them with a new type of era, and they say this is not for monkey butt, but for another one, polio. Yeah. And you already know from experience what that did to a lot of people, right? Can't go into too much details about that being on YouTube and all, but, let's just say that, Bell palsy is just to say the least, right? But they are going to inject him with that, so that way they can get all that going, right? And then, of course, this talks about another lockdown, right? There's talks about it. I mean, sure. As you get closer and closer to the election, they may pull something off. Monkey butt could be it, because they're saying that it's breaking out. You should hear famines, pestilences, these diseases that they make up as they go along, right? World Health Organization, etc. That can shut down the whole world anytime it feels like it, because the World Health Organization, fake-ass doctor says, or Dr. Fucky, who's gotten the West Nile virus, he told you that, that you should wear at least 2 or 3 masks at a time, but they said masks don't do any good, always changes and flip-flops on everything, right? So a lot of people follow Dr. Fucky, the West Nile virus motherfucker, right? And like everything else, so, you got this buildup, right? They're talking about bank bailouts, right? Well, what do you think that bank bail-ins are? Well, that's where you pick up the tab. They crash the system, but you have to pick up the pieces, right? You got to bail them back in, and they plan to crash that very shortly here, because the fiat currency system, well, it ain't backed by anything. The petrodollar is dead. The world reserve currency is no more. Because again, the Saudi-backed dollar, because you can call it the Saudi dollar, right? Is no longer valid. Saudi Arabia has already begun to be a BRICS Plus member, and that started earlier this year. So, it's just a matter of time that people catch on that the dollar is dead. The dollar's worthless. It's just that right now they're allowing you to have power with the dollar, but eventually cash is going to be eliminated and everything's about to go digital. a central bank digital currency. That those that don't worship the image of the beast should be killed, right? So you don't want to get down with Esau's system. You don't want to, implant yourself with the injectable, micro chip. Well, they got plans for you. It's called FEMA. FEMA camps for everyone, right? They have those everywhere. You already seen what Australia looked like when they didn't get the inoculation, where they sent them. So, hey, if they could do that to even larger continent like Australia, what do you think is going to happen over here? And look at all the people in New Zealand that were forced under, HR 6666, because that's what it's called over here. Search and seizure, where they can just come into your house and just, unlawfully detain you, indefinite detention. You have all kinds of acts here. It's what you call amendments to the Constitution. People finding out that the U.S. Constitution doesn't mean jack shit. They could just override that. The World Health Organization can just override all those things, right? The FDA can just override that. They can lock down everything. If you're a business, they could shut you down. Because, you're not what you would call essential business, right? Lots of non-essential businesses got closed and never came back from 2020. So what do you think that did to the economy? Well, it was very interesting, because the other day, Gerald Sorrente, had already talked about it. He says, well, you got all these offices, especially in San Francisco and all that. You got these tall skyscrapers, but most people do not want to work in an office anymore when they can just work from home. 2020 taught them that, you can just work from home and just use Skype. Just use those technologies, right? So nobody wants to work in an office anymore and have to commute into a terrible city like San Francisco. So those buildings are just standing there doing nothing. And banks are losing equities. So they have to come up with a new central bank digital currency. So that's what's coming. It's right around the corner. That prophecy will come to pass, causing all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive an implant in their hand or in their foreheads, that you will not be able to buy or sell, save ye that has it. It's coming, and you already know what the consequences of getting it is. A guarantee in the lake of fire, which is the weapons of his indignation being fired over here, and the fire coming down from the chariots, the angels of the Most High, when they destroy this place and they punish all the sinners of Yasharahla, as well as the wicked one, Esau Edom, as well as all the other nations that are over here too, because, Babylon has been a bedrock for all of them, right? A melting pot. But like everything else, it's going to become a real melting pot when the nuclear begins. And like everything else, though, I definitely can see Ukraine doing that, right? I mean, they've been showing that they're going to be striking at nuclear power plants on purpose. And I could definitely see them using a dirty bomb. And I could see that event alone would cause those 10 nations to hate the whore and want to burn her with fire, to turn on Russia's side, especially after a dirty bomb being set off. Nuclear radiation, nuclear fallout. I could definitely see that happening. So a lot of things are happening. You're hearing of wars and rumors of wars. You've been hearing about the rumor that China's about to invade Taiwan. Even though Taiwan's a part of China, has been a part of China, but see, they want to keep that as what they call it's a trading pot, right? Because they have, semiconductors over there, right? Because, that has a lot to do with the implantable micro chip, right? So they want to keep Taiwan. But it still belongs to China. Now China's going to be leading the charge in these micro chip technologies, because, again, Taiwan's a part of China. And like everything else, though, we all know that the world's new reserve currency is backed by the BRICS. The BRICS is simply Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, right? But now you got new plus members, right? You got Iran, you got Saudi Arabia, and I believe you got Qatar. Either it's Qatar or United Arab Emirates that's joined. Oh, and Turkey to become a member as well, which is supposed to be a NATO ally, right? So you got all these things coming up, right? Gomer and all his bands, Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet. And the Most High is turning thee back and putting hooks into thy jaws, a new Soviet Union, right? The Soviet era, but they're not calling it the Soviet Union anymore. No, it's a newer Russia. But if you know anything about Vladimir Putin, he does go back to the days of the Soviet Union, because he was a KGB agent, right? That's what where he goes back to. He's even met Ronald Reagan. But, he wants to bring Russia back, but a much more stronger Russia. It'll never go bankrupt again. In fact, Russia's stronger than anything else because they back their currency with gold. See, gold is having more and more purchasing power because, again, the BRICS Plus members, they are now trading without the U.S. dollar. See, the U.S. dollar was once the world's reserve currency, but now is no longer backed by anything. The paper is useless. So they're going to get rid of that system very soon anyways, and it's all going to be digital, a central bank digital currency. So they're going to really crash the system very soon. And all this in the midst of a shit show of an election, right? But like everything else, though, predictions, spoiler alerts, yeah, you're going to catch more slurs from Donald J. Trump on Harris just because of the, divide there. Of course there will be. I mean, we know that Trump can't help himself, right? Nero, he can't help himself, with the things that he says. And, they're going to lash back and forth, but it's going to become more and more racial, more and more prejudice. And that's going to stir Judah up. That's going to rouse Judah up, man, because they're falling for Harris just like that. Just because, even though they don't look at it as she's married to Amalek, those Amalekites, they just look at her, because she's so-called black, but she's not really even that either. She's married to an Amalekite. You see, whoever you're married to is who you are, but they don't look at her as Amalek now, do they? No. But you see, that's also going to bring, what you would call civil unrest, right? So it doesn't matter which one wins, whether it's Donald J. Trump or it's Kamala Harris with, that other guy, Waltz, the child molester. Oh, well, they're all child molesters. They're all pedophiles anyways. It's just he's getting a lot of exposure too because, again, he's making pedophilia safe for pedophiles. You can't even really use that word pedophile anymore. You can't criticize someone who likes to do bad things to children a pedophile anymore. Well, what do you call them? What would you call them? Predator? A child predator? Because that's what they are. They prey after children, these are sick fucks that are in power. But nonetheless, though, that's what the people are voting for. It's the next sickest fuck. I mean, what's his name? They threw him under the bus, and of course, he supposedly died in prison, but he had exposed all of them, including Donald Trump and Joe Biden, all of them. I'm trying to remember his name, but the other one, Maxwell, who is also with him, Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah, that's the guy. Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, right? Had exposed their pedophile ring, right? And then, of course, you got the false prophet, right? The church. You got a lot of pedophiles within that, right? I mean, everybody knows that the Roman Catholic Church are nothing but pedophiles, and you have all the daughter churches thereof that are the same thing, I could even talk about some here, It was a separation of a Pentecostal church here in town, because the one guy was a pedophile, raped his own daughter, and then the other one that was within that broke off from that, a guy by the name of Pastor Bobo, who had broken off from that, because he married the wife of the daughter of the other pedophile, and they started their own church, but there was a split with that church. Pedophilia, it's everywhere, because again, well, where do you think this comes from, right? Because Esau's the wicked one, and he's being exposed more and more every day, right? Because they will give you the illusion that anybody could come into the fold, right? He washed my sins away, right? They'll have you singing those songs, and you're singing "Oh Happy Day" when JC comes to save the day. But that's not how it really is. He's not all love. But you see, that's why we're exposing IUIC, right? Yeah, sure, they tell you an Israelite, but they're saying the same thing that you've been hearing for years, that God is all love, that he wants to bring everybody in the mix, and that some Edomites can make it too. They tell you that. Or that, I'm just waiting for IUIC to say that the Edomites are done away with. Oh, but they say you got to forgive the Edomites now too. So they've even said that you got to forgive Edomites or you can't be saved. You won't go to heaven if you don't forgive Esau, Edom. So you got so much false prophecy going out there, right? Many false prophets rise and you see many. And even ISUPK, is teaching that you got to forgive Esau, and I've heard them use the name JC a few times too. Not as bad as IUIC, but I've caught them a few times doing that. There is no other but General Yohana, It tells you that's okay to receive an inoculation, but doesn't go over Leviticus, where you're not supposed to take any injections in your body. You're not supposed to mark your body. That goes for tattoos or anything. Once you're in this truth, there's no excuses for that. Anybody in this truth and you're still going and getting a tattoo, well, you ain't in this truth. Because again, you're not supposed to make any marks into your body. That's what the scriptures tell us, right? So injections, even having your blood drawn is against the Most High. All these things are abominations. And that's just it. We're in the midst of the Most High pouring out his judgments. And he has a special preservation for those that want to continue to do wickedly, in which they wickedly exercise themselves, right? But he will not suffer them to go down to the land of Egypt anymore. What's that talking about? Is he talking about old Egypt, or is he talking about the things that they exercise themselves in now? Because the Egypt that's out there now is way more wicked than the ancient Egypt, the things they exercise themselves in, right? Which is why it was compared to Sodom, where our power was crucified, right? We weren't taught anything about our power. We were taught plantation Christianity, right? We were taught that God is all love. We weren't even taught the names of Yahweh Shai. We were taught that he could be called anything, and that God is love, We were taught that false doctrine, right? But like everything else, though, see, we've been exposing all that, right? And that's why they hate us more than anyone else, because we've been exposing this for quite some time. 2 Ezra chapter 9, and it reads, "Measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest signs of the past which I have told thee before, then thou shalt well understand that in the same very time wherein the highest shall begin to visit the world in which he made." So he's beginning to make his visitations more well known. Most people, that call those things UFOs have seen a UFO, which are really just the vehicles of the angels of the Most High. He's been making his visitations well known. "Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes in the world and uproars of the people in the world," is that not what's happening? Like everything else, though, civil unrest is going to unfold over this election, which is just right around the corner. It may even unfold when Harris is sworn in. And they're talking about the idea that Harris may be sworn in even before, the election, that Biden may just withdraw from the presidency altogether. "Therefore, then shall understand that the Most High spoke of those things from the day that were before thee, from the beginning, even from the beginning. For all that is made in this world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest." The end of what? The end of Esau Edom. "For all that he is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. Even so the times also the highest have plain beginnings and wonders and powerful works and endings and effects and signs." So like everything else, though, people are going to know that there's divine power behind everything that's going on. Those that understand, that have the understanding, because see, only certain people are going to have that understanding. That's the elect. "And everyone that shall be saved shall be able to escape by his works and by faith whereby thou hast believed." What's that faith by works talking about? Well, coming out here and doing the work, right? Teaching in season and out of season, not just when it's convenient to, not just because it's a clique and it's something you'll enjoy hanging out. Most of the time I've been doing this by myself. I've been doing this for quite some time. Not because it's a clique or anything, but because I'm compelled by the Most High to teach the word of Yahweh Shai. What was the thing I was supposed to do before he comes back? Occupy until he comes back, right? Teaching the words of Yahweh Shai. Once you've gotten this, you go out and you teach it, right? Once you've gotten this and you've checked in with an elder of a camp, you start going out and you start teaching the words of Yahweh Shai. You don't just keep it for yourself. No, you just go out there and you teach and you make it your everything. So we're compelled to do this 24/7. And that's just it. The Most High will put his spirit in you to go out there and teach. That's what Rakah Kadash is. And that's why we say double honors to elders and apostles who've been doing it the longest. Because they're still teaching. They've been teaching well over 30 years. At least 40 to 45 for Apostle Tahar. He's been in this truth for a very long time. He's been persecuted for this truth. You know, he's been accused of many things. You know, he was held in the year 2000 for questioning or 2001 for the questioning. You know, they questioned him over the Twin Tower bombings, you know, the false flag 9/11 event. They detained him, you know, as possible suspects, you know. But guess what? You know, after 10 days, he was set free, just the same as we're all going to go through trial and error, right? You know, so we know that this is coming. If the apostles have went through it, we're going to go through it too. You know, of course we've shied away from friends we once had, you know, that wouldn't believe. We've shied away from family that doesn't believe. We go out, we make new friends, or even if we have to do it alone. We're not really doing it alone because we're sharing videos, we're uploading videos, we're sharing with others, you know, so we're not even alone. Even those of us that are, you know, maybe one-man camps, you know, we're still out there. And we're still teaching the words of Yahweh Shai. That's a faith by works in which you have believed. You go out and you make it manifest, right? And these words will come into play. And we can see that quite clearly. You know, that indeed all the things that were spoken about, well, we can see that that's just right around the corner. You know, there's no doubt that the MLTB is right around the corner. It's all in place, right? A central bank digital currency. You know, hey, you know, 2020 took a lot of people by surprise that the World Health Organization could just lock down the entire world while everybody else was going around wearing a mask, you know, afraid of that. Well, we do that, okay, they were going to try to implant to everyone. Well, they did in a way, you know, but that was just a prelude. That wasn't it yet, but it's coming. You know, they're going to crash the system. More false flag events are going to happen. They're going to blame Russia, Iran. You know, Ukraine's about to set off a dirty bomb. Yeah, they're trying to say that Iran is interfering in the election, that Iran tried to assassinate Donald J. Trump, you know, which was an Illuminati card game. The charismatic leader, you know, in that event card. I keep forgetting the other name of the card, but nonetheless, though, it's an Illuminati card. Just like the Boston bombing was the joggers card. Just like 9/11, well, you had a couple cards on that too. Just like COVID was a quarantine card, which they played that. See, it's all a card game to them, you know, and they play the cards. The devil deals the cards, and this devil's Esau Edom, you know, if you will, the Illuminati card game. You know, those are in power, the 1%, because the rest of us are all 99%ers, right? So the 1% that's controlling absolutely everything, well, they have a plan to have everyone chipped, you know, and that, you know, all the money, everything will be on them chips, and anybody who doesn't go along with that, well, they pretty much are going to march them off to camps, you know, slowly but surely. You already see it happening with, well, let's talk about some of the newer Supreme Court laws, right? It's illegal to be homeless now, right? So they are rounding up the homeless and, you know, going to eventually start implanting them, you know, with the idea in their forehead, you know, to reprogram them. And even so, the implantable micro C-hip will have lithium in it, which will control their minds, right? So the moment you think an evil thought and all that, you'll be slowed down, you know, and you'll just, you know, go back to normal, being docile. Yeah, all these micro C-hips will reprogram everyone, right? In their hands or in their foreheads. And you can't do anything without it, right? The plan is to have everyone chipped, to have a one world government, to have a one world currency, and that's it. And anybody who gets out of line, they just turn your chip off. That's what Aaron Russo talked about on Alex Jones all those years ago. You know, and Joe Biden made it clear himself. Can a microscopic tag be used to track someone's every movement? You will rule on that, mark my words. So it's still coming. Yeah, it didn't happen in 2004 when he originally said it, right? You know, but hey, these people are getting old. They're about to die, you know. Henry Kissinger died, you know. Jacob Rothschild died, you know. Another Rockefeller, he also died. I think Nick Rockefeller also died. You know, so these guys are getting old, you know. So, you know, they want to see it, you know. They know that they have a short time, so they want their new world order to commence, you know, and to everybody have it in them, you know. So that way they can have their one world government, their one world currency, and just pretty much to depopulate to everyone, right? And like everything else, though, you know, they'll get close to filling their belly, but then Yahweh will send Yahweh Shai and the angels to destroy this place. And don't forget, the weapons of his indignation, the cup of wrath of his indignation, which is thermonuclear war. World War III is around the corner. Now that's another Illuminati card, but it's also spoken of in the scriptures. The third woe that cometh quickly, which is nuclear, which is a nuclear war. You know, that's what your lake of fire is when this place, Babylon the Great, is consumed by fire. And people are cast alive in it, meaning that they don't die in the nuclear fire, but they're kept alive for a while in torments. You know, with the grieving and gnashing of teeth because the pain is so high. You know, they'll want to die, but they can't because the Most High is going to keep them there just to torture them for a while. You know, that's what's coming to all those that take the implantable MOTB. You know, so hopefully all this has been edifying. We got a lot to look forward to. And like everything else, though, you know, they're going to try to get everybody to take it. They'll get close to it, but there'll be many that'll refuse. A lot of people will be beheaded for refusing this. You know, not everybody's going to go along with it. You know, a lot of people will refuse to take it. But we look forward to this because, again, you know, we know that this has to come to pass so that way we can get the kingdom. At the end of the day, we want this wicked kingdom to end, and we want to be in ours. So hopefully this has been edifying. For that I want to say, Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakal Kadash, Wa Abab the Ball. Barakatham to Yehovah Elect. Shalom.